If you don't buy right, the whole thing can kind of fall apart. And so buying is, in essence, right? We're obviously buying a deal. We're buying an investment property. We are trying to take that investment and really stretch and get maximum value.
Depending on what the end goal is, if you're trying to rent the house out, you want to get it to rental grade, right? If you're trying to flip it, you want to get it to that HGTV style. Our goal is to make that house be something that someone will ultimately want to live in. What is the reason that you're rehabbing that home for? Are you flipping it or are you renting it? If you're renting it, stick with rental grade. Stick with rental grade.
We the Property Brrrrothas.
Yo, what's up, everybody? It is the Property Brothers. I'm your host, Jordan, along with the one and only Drew, my partner in crime. Drew, what's up, Davey?
What's happening, yo? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro, man. It's good to be back. Another episode, man. We're back at it. And dude,
Yes.
we got a special episode today. What do we got for him today, Drew?
All right, so today we are breaking up one of the fundamental things, the I would say probably one of the most important things in the BRRRR.
Strategy.
Brothers. Yes, in the strategy. The buy, rehab, refinance, rent, and repeat. I may have gotten that backwards.
We are the Property Brrrrothas for a reason. So, it wouldn't be an episode, it wouldn't be a podcast of the Property Brothers if we don't break down the BRRRR method.
Absolutely, man. And this is going to be a banger. I'm super excited because, this really it's the fundamental process.
Yes,
It is the
absolutely.
fundamental aspect. Like if you do not buy right, you have bought wrong, and everything goes downhill from there, right? So
Right.
it's a numbers game. It's it's exercising patience. It's getting your emotions out of the game, right? You
Yeah.
have to put this on.
100%.
You have to put it pen to paper, and it has to pencil out. So I'm super excited. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what does buy? What does buy represent? What is that process?
So the buy process, guys, is just it's so critical for the success of this whole BRRRR thing, this whole BRRRR strategy. Like Drew alluded to, if you don't buy right, the whole thing can kind of fall apart. And so buying is, in essence, right? We're obviously buying a deal. We're buying an investment property. We are trying to take that investment and really stretch and get maximum value out of it. But it's only successful if you buy in the correct areas of your particular market, if you buy in the correct neighborhoods, if you buy the correct properties. So
you're talking about like really thinking about your buy box, right? Like,
that's right. We're thinking about our buy box.
Yeah. So when we're talking about to someone who's a new investor, what does buy box mean? How do you formulate a buy box? Like, what are some of the criteria that you need to take into consideration when you're thinking about your own personal buy box?
Yeah. So some of the things you got to take in consideration are your location, right? Where are you buying? Okay. The types of properties you are buying, whether that be a single family residence, multifamily residence. So we're talking duplexes, triplexes, quadplexes, right? Small multifamily. And maybe you can niche down to certain types of bedrooms. They have certain types of accessories that come with the home, like garages. You're buying certain types of properties that maybe have a garage or maybe are brick or whatever your buy box is, right? That's your niche. That's what you want to kind of zone in on so that you can make sure that your investment strategy aligns with it.
Well, I think you kind of got to peel back those layers too. Like when you think about like what is an investment strategy, right? What is the goal for this? So as we're looking at those buy boxes, right, we're talking about there's a means to an end. What is that end goal? So is it immediate cash flow, right? Or is it, watching that property that you just purchased grow in value? What's that called?
We call that appreciation, my brother.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you. I don't depreciate you.
No,
I appreciate you, but hey, depreciation is another thing, and in the real estate game, that's good. But we can
That's
get
a
into
beautiful
that in
thing.
another episode. But
Absolutely.
yeah, so like Drew said, cash flow and appreciation. Those are two real big fundamental things that you kind of have to account for. And in our city that we invest in, Indianapolis, it has a little bit of both, but it's mainly a strong cash flow type of market. And while you can buy in certain types of area that do have an appreciation play, we're really mainly in the cash flow game. And so that's all part of your buy box, right? So you really got to kind of niche down, what do I want, right? What do I want? What is going to make me successful? And so that's kind of what we're going to do. And so guess what? We actually got one for you, y'all. We were kind of perusing and, we got to talking and we're like, dude, Property Brothers need another deal, right? And so we got one. We're here live and we're going to break it down. We're going to analyze it for you and we're going to see, does this deal pencil out? And like Drew said, we have to peel back the layers, right? We have to take the emotion out of it and basically just put pen to paper, do the math. Does it work? Yes, we do it. No, we pass.
So when we're looking at this, before we actually dive into the property that we found, what's our buy box? What is it that we are trying to accomplish when we are looking for a property to buy?
Yeah. So we as the Property Brrrrothas, we are looking for, mostly distressed properties.
Lookers.
As we call them. What do we call them, Drew?
Lookers.
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 Look at that looker. Ooh.
Yes.
Girl, that's a looker.
It's
Man,
a looker.
That's a looker.
Yes.
So we're looking for distressed property, y'all. We're looking for properties that we can add value, or in the space we call, we can force equity, right?
Force that equity, baby.
We can force the appreciation. And so, Drew, do you want to kind of just tell them really quick, what is it when you are forcing equity? And it's easier said than done, So go ahead, man.
So yeah, I mean, what we want to do is we want to take a look at a home that just looks bad. You look at it and you're like, dang, that house, I wouldn't step foot in it. Sometimes it could be a house that a hoarder lived in, right? They accumulated a whole bunch of stuff, hasn't been cleaned. The house is deteriorated, so could need a new roof, could need a brand new kitchen, all of the mechanicals, bathroom. It could be, a lot of times within our buy box, these homes are a lot older. Like it could be almost 100-year-old or even older than that, right? And it's something that it's not move-in ready. It's not move-in ready. So our goal
turnkey.
Not turnkey. So our goal is to force equity. So we'll go in there and we'll say, all right, where people turn their nose at this property, we're looking at it like, okay, this is a potential gold mine. This is an opportunity for us to force value. And the way that I like to look at it is depending on what the end goal is. If you're trying to rent the house out, you want to get it to rental grade, right? If you're trying to flip it, you want to get it to that HGTV style.
That's
so,
right.
Our goal is to make that house be something that's someone will ultimately want to live in and want to stay in for a long period of time, whether that's us renting to them or us selling it to someone else.
And that's a good point. When you mention, I just want to piggyback on that for just a minute. When you say that, hey, this is something that we ultimately want someone to live in, but not live in, but want to live in it, right?
Absolutely.
As investors and ultimately landlords, right? We still have to remember that our customers are our tenants, right?
Absolutely.
And so they are people too, and they absolutely need to want to live in your property. And so we all have stakes in here, and so we want to make sure that we are buying the right deal. And so that's what we're going to kind of
Yeah, and like personally, my goal whenever I buy a property, I am going to rehab that property so that I would want to live in that home. Even if it's a rental grade, there's still going to be some finishes in there that I would appreciate and want to take advantage of. It needs to be
100%.
comfortable. It needs to be safe. So, there's a lot of things that we do, and we can talk about this as we start analyzing the deal. But, certain things we want to make sure that all the mechanicals are taken care of. We want to make sure that the electrical is up to date, the plumbing's up to date, et cetera. And that really is going to force value. But if you're going to rent that property, it's also making sure that you don't have to touch that property after you've already rehabbed it.
Oh, dude, that is a great point to make. And, that goes into kind of the rehab process of it, which we are certainly going to break down in another episode. But what do you say, Drew? Should we jump into it, man?
Yeah, let's jump to. So, how do you find a looker?
Well, we can do what a lot of people will do, and that is jump on Zillow, right? Jump on the internet, just start perusing and just kind of, scouring Zillow's, all the apps, Facebook, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, that's kind of what we're going to start.
You've got your Zillows, you've got your Redfin, you've got your Trulias, you've got your auction websites. There's all types, but just keeping it super simple for today. Let's pull up Zillow. Let's take a look at it, right?
Yeah, 100%. Let's do that. Okay, so here we go, guys. So we came across this property. This is obviously in Indianapolis, and man, let's kind of talk about how we came across this bad boy. So when you're on Zillow, I'm going to go ahead and go back. When you're on Zillow, it can be a little overwhelming. It's certainly when you're looking for an investment property. It's a little bit different than when you're looking for your primary
own home. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. It's really different when you're looking for your own home, right? Because with your own home, you have a lot of emotion in it, right? It's, I want this, I want that, I want the pool, I want the porch, and I want
the big backyard, I want the beautiful dining room,
kids,
gorgeous,
right?
Yeah, kitchen, bathroom. I want that spa-like bathroom.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to take all that out of it.
You got to take it all out, right? And you really have to dial in your search criteria. So we're going to take Zillow, okay? This is one of many. I just want to preface this. This is one of many apps and one of many things on the MLS right here. So here we go. What we recommend is that you really filter down your search. So we're going to start with obviously the for sale. Go to your market, right? So we typed in Indianapolis for sale. For us, we are going to filter down the list price. So we did a maximum of $150,000. Okay. We're not going to mess with the beds and bath. We're going to leave that at any. For home type, we are going to select houses. You can select all, or you can, do what you want. So we're going to select houses and multifamily, and I'm going to go ahead and unselect all of the other selections here. And then the real kicker here, guys, is you want to go over to more, because this is where you're really going to filter down and really get niched down to a good criteria. HOA, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Never.
Nope. No HOAs.
No thanks.
Nobody. We ain't got no time for that.
Ain't nobody got no time for that. So you definitely want no HOA fee. Property status, you can go ahead and click all those on. We ain't taking no tours because, you know, we long distance, right? We out of state.
Right.
So
Yep.
no tours necessary.
Yep.
Parking spots, any. Now, this is for us. This is what we like. We like garages. And we'll tell you why we like garages in just a sec. And then square footage, we are going to click on square footage. We are going to select a minimum of 1,500, no max.
And again, this is for us. This is our buy box.
This is our buy box, right?
We'll talk about why we want 1,500 square feet, why we want a garage.
Year built. We're not going to mess with lot size. Year built. We're going to go to a minimum of 1950. So this is going to filter all homes built after 1950. You know, when you start dealing with homes that are built prior to 1950, right? So automatically, right, we already got, you know, over a 70-year-old home that we're dealing with. You know, when you start dealing with homes that are, you know, 80, 90, 100 years old, while that could be your buy box, that's not ours in particular. But trust me, we have bought those too. You start dealing with more problem with that home. So we're going to scroll down. We're going to leave all these unchecked. And then the biggest thing now is we're going to go down to days on Zillow. And so you click the drop down arrow. We're going to select 12 months, right? So this is going to give us everything that's been on Zillow for at least a year or less, right? And so we click apply, bada bing, bada boom. And so it filters out 5 results. And so the best results that came through was the first one. So we clicked on this one and we're like, wow, let's take a look.
And why would you say that was the best result?
So the best result, well, we're going to get into it, but it met kind of the criteria. We see the square footage right off the back.
2,080. That's great.
It's 2,080. So that means that it's big and it's got the potential to do what, Drew?
We can add some more bedrooms, add some more bathrooms. We can reconfigure it, make it, you know, open concept if we would like to. There's a lot of opportunity to reconfigure that old home layout into a space that is modern and can support more rooms.
100%. 100%. You can see that this has a garage in the back, a little
and that's a
garage.
2-car garage. That's not a little 2-car garage. Yeah. I would say that is about 800 square feet. Probably it's about a 20 by 40.
So that's got potential to possibly take that garage and turn it into an ADU, what we call out here an additional dwelling unit. Okay.
And out there, they call it a carriage house.
And out there in the Midwest, Indianapolis, they call it a carriage house. Yeah. So let's get into the picture.
Is this a looker? That's a looker?
Dude, I think this is a looker. Look at this bad boy. Look how beautifully ugly this thing is.
But look at that. Look how big those windows are. I mean, that is a floor to ceiling window.
Yeah, look at that. So much, so much light coming in, right?
Yeah.
I bet it smells horrible in there.
Oh, probably. Most likely. 70 years of funk. But I mean, look at these walls. Like, you can already tell that, you know, this is probably a dining room right there.
Right.
And you can probably knock that wall to the left. That's probably the kitchen. You can knock that and make that an open concept.
Boom, right there.
And boom, now you've just modernized, just given that thing so much breathing room. That kitchen is a hell of a looker. Can you blow that up, man? See what that looks like.
Absolutely.
Oh,
dude,
yeah, man.
Did it burn? I mean, I see a fire extinguisher on the counter. Did that
Yeah, it don't look
microwave
like
catch
it
on
burnt, but
fire?
it's just nasty.
It's
It's
just
just
nasty, dude.
nasty. But, these are the lookers that we are trying to find, right? These are the opportunities. Someone else sees this, they don't want to put that work in,
Right.
right?
Right. This is definitely not turnkey, y'all. So this is not move-in ready.
Right. And
Okay.
that carpet looks like somebody did some diarrhea on there,
Somebody
maybe
done
threw up
doo-doo
on
on that.
there. It's
Man.
horrible. But I mean, listen, that is what we're looking for.
Yeah. Check out this bathroom. Woo, look at all that tile work.
Beautiful.
Man, old school.
Beautiful.
Old school. We got the colored
Yes.
tile. Man, that must have been.
I love
that
that
was big
light
in the
switch on the
70s.
wall. That light switch on the wall is gorgeous. That might be one we could keep that light switch.
We could keep that cover right there. We could keep
Yes,
that.
for sentimental reasons.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, that.
But yeah, man, this is it looks perfect, right?
Yeah.
So there's some opportunity for us to expand and change the layout.
Look at
There's some
all this
opportunity.
space back here.
Yes, there's a lot of. How much square footage is the lot?
It's a great question. Shoot, I don't know. Let's see. Let's go back to the listing. The lot is 7,800 square feet.
That's
So it's
nice.
big, dude. That's
Yeah.
a lot of room, right? You
That's
can see the
nice.
front yard's big, deep driveway, right?
Yeah.
This garage is so detached and kind of off to itself, right? So
Yeah.
it gives somebody the idea that, hey, we have a lot of potential here, right?
Absolutely. All right. So how do we start analyzing this deal? Like what are the first steps in determining whether we want to buy this property?
100%. So what we do, and what I recommend a lot of people do, is jump on your phone and jump on the internet. And if you're not on BiggerPockets, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but get on BiggerPockets. Shout out to BiggerPockets again, holding it down, the BP community. And dude, get on there, see what's up, and we are going to jump on the rental estimator, because once we determine, like, hey, we have identified a property we are considering for purchase, whether you have done this yourself, whether an agent has brought this to you, or a wholesaler. I know, there's a lot of people that are in the wholesale game. Um, whoever, maybe you saw it on Facebook. Once you have identified, okay, this is something that I can roll with. This is something that we can force value out of, force equity. Let's go over to the BiggerPockets rental estimator. If you're not,
And you find that when you're in BiggerPockets, you go up to that top toolbar,
right,
you
right.
click on Analyze Deals.
So we're gonna come up here.
And-
We're gonna log into BiggerPockets. I'm
Yep.
already signed in. Now you have to be a pro, BiggerPockets Pro. Not quite sure. There is a fee. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it is affordable. If you are going to be analyzing any types of deals, and you're going to be doing, deal after deal on a weekly, monthly basis, it's going to pay for itself, y'all. So highly
Big
recommend.
time.
So
Big time.
go down over here to Rent Estimator. Okay, you're going to punch in your address, and then boom, it's going to come out, right? So we punched it in. We, just copy and paste from Zillow, and the median rents for this particular property in Indianapolis is just under $1,300, right?
So that's interesting. So they're selling the house for 110,000, and the median rent is 12.95. Now on the right hand side, we see that there's rents that are 16.45 for a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,600 square feet. Can you scroll down a little bit on that right hand side so we can see some other rent comps in the area?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So 1665, and typically the map will load. Can you refresh that? Let's see if the map is there so that we can see how close proximity some of these rentals are. So
Sorry, y'all. I got slow internet.
That's okay. But
Um,
let's say for
Right,
example,
right.
for a 3 bedroom home, we could get maybe 1350 or 1400 because it looks like, at the end of the day, when we rent this home, it's going to be brand new. Like
Right.
everything inside is going to be brand spanking new appliances, new configuration of the kitchen and dining room, etc. So what we like to do is we like to
There it goes.
say, there we go. So hover over that 1645. All right. So that's about 2 blocks away.
Mhm.
1665. A little bit further, the 1400.
It's right next to it.
So yeah, pretty close. So I mean, it's all within that general vicinity, right? So I believe that we should be able to get some pretty good rent. Now, the beautiful thing is, remember, we were talking about, for us, our business model is to convert the garage, and so for 800 square foot garage, we already have plans that we could put a 2 bedroom, 1 bath in there. So could you scroll up real quick and put 2 bedroom, 1 bath for that same address?
2, 1. Let the magic work.
So in addition to the 1400 that we would get for the main house, we're also talking about $1,150 a month for the ADU or the carriage house. So, that's pretty significant, right? And the
Mhm.
reason why we say that is because, can you explain what that 1% rule is?
So the 1% rule, guys, is when you purchase a property, right? You want the rent to be at least 1% of your purchase price. So if this guy is coming in at just under 110, they have it listed at 109.99. So let's call it 110K. We want the 1% rule is $1,100. And so this just meets the 1% and slightly above it at 1150. So that works.
That works right now. So, but that 1150 is for the 2 bedroom, 1 bath.
That's
Um,
for
s-
just the ADU, correct?
yeah. So if we look at the $2,500 a month, then 1%, that would be $250,000 of a purchase price, or what we would consider purchase price plus rehab, right? So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about, we know that this house is a looker, and
Mm-hmm.
we know that it's going to take some work. So
100%.
how do we determine if this is a good deal?
So what we have to do is now we have to come in with the ARV, right?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
ARV stands for after repair value.
Value.
Value. Do
Value.
you have your
Yes.
values? Yes.
Yes.
After repair values. So that is super important when considering the potential rehab costs and how to estimate them accurately. And so Drew was kind of alluding to, when we're crunching our numbers, right? We have the rents for the, according to BiggerPockets, for the main house. And then what we could potentially, if we were to take that garage, turn it into a carriage house, and then kind of separate that from the main property and rent that out too, we could potentially get another $1,100, right? 23 to 2,500 all in. But
Yep.
right, it's going to take some work to get it there, right? We talked about it at the beginning of the show. We want our customers, our tenants, to want to live there, right? So that entails, having to do some work. So this is still part of the buy process, right? We are going to talk about the ARV, the after repair value, and this is really going to, make or break whether this deal is going to, pencil out or not. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because emotionally, I feel like this is a great deal. This looks like a fantastic deal
Right.
because the rents
Right.
say that we can get $2,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
What is it going to take to get this to renter grade?
So with that said, we have one more screen share for you, and we're going to come over here to a tool that we use. It's called DealPilot. Shout out to DealPilot.
DealPilot.
Really great tool. It's going to really help us analyze the ARV and the comps, which stand for comparables. Okay, so we can back it up.
Yeah, how does this tool work?
Right, so you type in, let's start it all over. We're going to go ahead and type in our address. Right, so there's our address. Okay, it's active, it's listed, right? It's got all the things that Zillow told us. But what's really cool is that it will also tell us kind of a little bit, not everything, a little bit of the history of who owns it, right?
Right.
And whether they're involved, whether they're not involved, if it's been neglected. Clearly, this home has been neglected because it's a looker, or else we wouldn't be.
It's a big looker.
Looking at it, right? No pun intended. But what we want to get into is the comps or the comparables.
But hold on before you go. On this page, there's some really
valuable.
I know. Chill out.
Okay.
Look at this. Look at the DealPilot insights.
Let's go there. DealPilot insights.
Right there. So DealPilot value for this home, it says the retail value is $181,648, right? And it's saying that the wholesale is $118,000. So it believes that the value of this home is much higher than what it's on sale for. Mm-hmm. It also believes that the wholesale price is higher than what it's currently on sale for, right? So it sounds like something's on sale,
right,
to me, right? So that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And so knowing all of that, this could be something that, we could go back to the seller with, knowing this information once we look at the comps, and perhaps, put an offer in. So we're going to click on comparables, or what we like to call just comps. We're going to let it do its thing. And so like Drew said, we're going to come over here. Here's our subject property, 3842 Priscilla. And we're going to come over here. Here is our ARV. They don't list it as ARV. They list it as AVM, the value on the market. So like he said, it's at 181. And as we scroll down, right, we can see kind of some of the other comparable properties. Okay. But what we really want to look at is okay, so what's been sold? What's been sold in the last, month, 30 days? Because that's really going to tell us what we could get once we get an appraiser in there, because that's all the appraiser is going to look at is what has been sold in the last 30 to 90 days, right?
So why does that matter? Like, who cares what's been sold in the last 30 days?
That matters because that is what we can sell it on the market for, right?
Got you.
If we are going to, sell this and resell it to your average, Joe and Jane, they are going to want to know, okay, well, what are we comparing this to?
Right. And it's got to be comparable to stuff that's actually happening in the area that you're in.
That's right.
So let's see. So what's that? Can you sort it by the
let's go by sold? Highest sold. So we're going to go right here. We're going to go by sold dollars here. So we're going to sort it. Boom. Okay. And we see highest sold is, something ridiculous, right? So we're like, okay, that's clearly not in our realm, right? But if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see something right here. 4464 Leslie.
Right.
And it got sold last year in September for $283,000.
That's nice. Now let me ask you a question. That's distance 1 mile. Okay. Wow.
So that's
There
a
we go.
2-bedroom, 1 bath, right?
Can you click on that? Can
I
we see what that looks like?
Yeah, we can click on it. 100%.
So it's got an attached garage, not a detached garage. It's definitely been remodeled, and it looks like it has a basement finish as well.
Yeah.
So it's a nice looking home.
Right. So this is something that, we didn't get into a lot, but this could be a part of your buy box, right? When you are determining who is the end buyer, right? Which is part of your numbers. Are you going to rent it out? So that's going to be, part of the numbers that you crunch. Are you going to rent it out? So that's going to determine the type of rehab that you do. Or are you going to flip it and resell it to a end buyer who's going to make it a primary resident? So you definitely want, like Drew said, that HGTV look. And this is clearly got that HGTV look.
And they did a good job. It's a phenomenal job. That finished basement, it's got a little mini bar down there in the finished basement.
Yeah.
And this is a 2-bedroom, 1 bath that's sold for that price, and you can see why.
Right. 100%. So we can go back to ours over here. So that gives us kind of an idea of what we're working with.
Let's look at that next one real quick, that 229.
Let's go to Audubon. So Audubon, there we go.
There we go. Oh, man. Look at that. That is beautiful. Nicely done, Audubon.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a 3-bedroom, 2 bath. Can I see the exterior of the home? Like, is it similar to our house? Hey, look, I already said our house. This is very similar. Look at it. It's got the detached garage right behind it.
Dude, it's okay if you said our house. It might be.
We don't know.
We
It might be.
Come to a conclusion yet.
But that's
gorgeous. Like that it's brick. I do like brick.
Yeah, you love your brick, man. Oh, look at that fireplace. Oh,
that's gorgeous.
And the built-in, that is nice.
So they clearly did a good job. This can definitely support, right, the sold price. So they sold it for just about $230K.
All right.
So that's really nice. Really nice.
So what would you say, based off of what you're seeing, would you say comfortable? When was that sold? That was 10/8/24. So that was
Audubon was sold on November 14th.
Yeah.
So a couple months ago.
Yep. Nice. And then, okay. Can we take a look at one more? The F5740 East 41st Street. Another attached garage.
Right. So when we're doing so when we're looking at these, right, we're seeing like, hey, we got attached garages, but the one we're looking at is a detached, right? So, that's something a little bit different on our end.
Yeah. You want to kind of match this as closely as possible. So you want to see, all right, when was this house built versus when our house was built? Does it have similar characteristics? Is it a single family? Is it, 2-story or 1-story? Does it have a similar size lot?
Right.
All of those things are similar characteristics. Like, for example, Jordan stated the last house in Audubon had brick. Ours does not, right? Where does that come into play in the value of the home, right? So those are all things you want to try to find a home that matches, exactly very similar to the style of home that you have. Because when an inspector's looking at it and they're doing their typical inspection, they're going to say, all right, these are the comps, but this one had this versus your home, right? So you want to make sure that you can, really show that the comps that you're aiming for are going to be achievable.
Right. So at the end of the day, we can kind of have we could kind of get an estimate that, all right, so based on these comps, that we've seen, we could kind of come in and say, okay, based on what we want to do, this machine said, hey, 181,000. Maybe we can get about, 220. That's on, that's conservative, right? We can take into account, now we have to see, all right, so, what is our rehab budget going to look like? And this is all part of the buy process that we have to look at.
And so when we're looking at the rehab on this particular house, Jordan, I already see that obviously we're going to need to do a full replacement on the kitchen. We're going to need to do full replacements on the bathroom, right? So that's going to be $7,000, I believe. I'm estimating. So full replacement on the kitchen, about $8,000. That includes the painting, the appliance packages, the granite countertops. For the full replacement of the bathroom, that's the vanity, the toilet, the mirror, lights, maybe replacing the tub or doing some sort of stone in there. Doing tile work. I don't
Dude, the
know if
whole
that house.
shebang.
Yeah, the whole shebang. Did that house have a basement? Do you know?
The one we're looking at, it
Yeah.
did.
Okay. So, one thing that we'd want to do, and this is something that we've had to learn, is that before you buy a property, you want to have it inspected. You have to have it inspected because you never
100.
know what's going on, not only within the home, but outside of the home. There could be plumbing issues that you're unaware of. So, for
Dude.
example, your sewer line connecting to the lateral, if that's clogged or, yeah, don't even get me
We don't even
started.
want to go. We don't even want to go down that line, that
We'll
road, right?
save that for another special episode. But you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence so that
Yeah.
you aren't blowing smoke up your own tailpipe and saying, "Oh, this is a great deal. It pencils out. All I got to do is just do some cosmetic stuff. I'm going to paint here.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Right. Right.
replace the
Right.
kitchen. I'm going to replace the bathroom, and then off to the races. I'm going to make a lot of money." Right? No,
Right.
never works that way. Right?
Yeah.
So my rule of thumb is I like to replace all the plumbing. I like to go in and especially in these older homes, replace the electrical.
Electrical. You gotta get it.
Take a look at all the mechanicals, right? So your HVAC and
Water
what
heater.
else would be a water heater? Yeah, HVAC, water heater,
Your
those types
roofs.
of things. Yeah, the roof is definitely something like, the thing about these homes in the Midwest is like the roofs, they typically last for like what, 15 years at most, 15, maybe 20 if you're lucky, if somebody's
Yeah.
taking care of it. But I mean, at 10 years, you're like, you're starting to see the wear and tear, right? So
Right.
I like to replace the roofs.
So
It's
what do you think it's gonna
relatively.
take?
So if I do some just rough calculations or some rough numbers, and we're talking about just the main house, right? So I would say probably in this home, there looks to be some floor damage as well.
Yeah.
So I would
100%.
say probably around 50,000. If you throw in contingency, like miscellaneous, another 10%. So maybe let's call it 55,000 plus your holding costs, right? So you've got insurance, you've got utilities, you're also making monthly payments on your, financing probably. So
Hmm.
that's another thousand, probably more than 1,000. It's probably going to be
Yeah.
another, four to $5,000, right? So let's call that $61,000,
Yeah.
right? So I'm thinking $61,000, and we're saying, what do you think that ARV is going to look like?
So maybe conservatively about 220.
Okay. So let's call it 220. And that again, when we look at this, the big challenge that we have is like you said, we love to add an ADU,
Mm-hmm.
and there's nothing on the comps that support
An
the
ADU.
addition of an ADU,
Yeah.
right?
So we're kind of fishing in the
So
dark there, but
big time. Yeah, big time. But, you know, I would say so what do we say? We said 61,000.
Yep,
All right.
61K.
So I'm going to put that into my little calculator here. So at that point in time, now we know, you know, if the home, I'll share my screen real quick.
So right now we're sitting at about 110K, right? On the purchase price, about 61K on the rehab. So we're about 171,000 all in for the purchase and construction. And so while Drew is bringing this up, oh, here it is.
So, all right. So if we look at this, if our ARV is 220,000, we know that when we refinance it, we're either going to refinance it at 75% of the ARV or 80% of the ARV. Now, 75% typically is offered if you've refinanced it after 3 months. 80% is if you hold on to it for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case,
We
we
like
say
to
our
get in and out though, Drew.
we do.
We like to try to
So
be in and out. So
so in this case,
4 months.
yep, be done. So if the ARV is 220, then 75%, our rehab estimate is about 62,000. Again, just rough numbers. And again,
Mm-hmm.
we would have an inspector go there. We would have our contractor go and take a look at it. We want to make sure that, we are accounting for, any surprises, like are there foundation issues, etc. But this is saying that our maximum allowable offer or purchase price is 103,000 bucks, right?
Right.
So that's what we would probably come in and we would, make that offer and put that offer on the table to the owner.
Right.
I would actually that would be our maximum allowable offer. So we might go in and say, hey, we're willing to offer you $90,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that in today's market right now, you want to make some disrespectful offers.
make it
you know,
make them think like, huh? Like,
yeah.
is this
Like
fool serious?
what are they thinking? I mean,
Yeah.
because you never know, especially for something that's been on the market for,
Yeah.
a long period of
Right.
time.
Now, this one in particular has only been on the market for 3 days, right? So
Right.
most likely they would be like, nah, bro.
Go kick rocks.
Yeah, go kick rocks,
Go
keep it
kick
pushing.
rocks.
We're not going to
Yeah.
take that. But if you get that filter down to 12 months, right? At least, right? You see something on the market, after a year, that 90,000 starts looking good. And they're like,
It looks
"Ugh."
really good. It looks really good. And
And so
it depends on their circumstance too.
yeah,
Like, are they holding on to this? Do they have
right,
holding costs themselves?
right,
Because there's no way that they're renting that home, right?
right,
Nobody's paying to rent that house. So,
right,
they've got holding costs every month, et
right,
cetera, et cetera.
right.
So there's a little bit more flexibility as time goes on.
Right. And if they are a motivated seller, that's one key to the puzzle is finding that motivated seller. And so if you have the right tool, the right analyzer to kind of help you weed through like, hey, who's ready to offload these properties, that is where you want to, what you want to find. And that can be, those lookers and those diamond in the roughs that you can, kind of fall into.
Absolutely. So I guess my question to you is, all right, we figured out what we can offer them. But there's one key thing. We know to add an ADU is going to cost us another $42,000.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If we did that, then that would mean that our rehab estimate is $104,000. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So at $104,000, what could we offer them?
So that puts us all in at about $213,000. And we said our ARV is, what did we say? Or our ARV was 220?
220. Yeah.
Right? And 75%, right?
Yep. So look at this. That number changes drastically. Right?
$61,000.
$61,000.
Max allowable price. So we'd have to come in and be like a disrespectful price of like $50,000.
100%. Yeah.
Super disrespectful, right?
Now, emotionally, I'd like to believe that if we add the ADU, the property value would be in the 300s,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Emotionally. But unfortunately,
We
based
don't
off
know.
of what you saw on
Yeah.
DealPilot,
Right.
there's no information that supports that
Right.
belief. But
And so,
in my
yeah,
heart, brother, in my heart, I
you
feel
know,
like,
you do.
right?
Right. Right. But, like we said, we started the beginning of the podcast saying you cannot use your emotions, right?
Yeah.
And so we want it to pencil out. And we got this right here on the screen in black and white. We got to make
It's
a
right there.
ridiculous offer of $50,000. And I
Yeah.
think that even if this was on the market for a year, I really don't think a seller is going to take more than 50%, almost 60% haircut
Right.
on
Right.
this deal. So
So
unfortunately,
let me ask you now, the other thing to think about is we do know that once the thing goes to market, it's going to produce at least 25, what do we say, $2,500 a
in
month?
rent, yeah,
Yeah, in rent. So at that point in time, is it worth it? And that's where your buy box comes in,
that's right.
right? What are you in it for? Are you in
Right.
it for the cash flow? Are you willing to, in our case, let's say we did buy it initially for, the $104,000 or $103,000, right? And then we decided to park our money into building the ADU. That's 40,000 bucks,
Right.
right? Where else are you going to make $1,200 a month on a $40,000 investment?
That's a good point. That
Right?
is a good point.
Right. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, could that $40,000 be used to get you into another property that will not only appreciate, but also burr the way
Mhm.
that we need it to?
Property BrrrRothas.
Property BrrrRothas.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So there's a lot to take in here. So we have kind of broken down, I guess, based off of what you're seeing, the numbers shake out. I mean, we put the offer in at $50,000, and then let's see if they take it.
Yeah. So it might work, it might not,
Right.
we just keep it pushing, no emotion involved. And we go on to the next, as we say.
The next piece, let's say we decided to move forward without building the ADU, and we made the offer of $103,000. It's only short, but by $7,000. It's quite possible that they take that.
Right.
Right. How do we finance this purchase?
You definitely want to get your lender involved. You want to get, or whoever, really. It could be family members. It could be, a partner. Okay. But typically you want to get a lender involved, and you want to have a product called a DSCR product, which stands for debt service coverage ratio. Um, we'll have that in the show notes, but yeah, so that's typically the type of product you want to get, because it's not taking into account the buyer, your background, or anything like that. It's taking into account the profitability of the investment. And so
The debt service.
yeah,
The
so
debt service, that's
that's
what
a
it's
great
called,
product.
right?
Yeah, debt
Yeah.
service coverage
So
ratio,
debt service is
DSCR.
what? It's the rent, right?
It's the rent.
Yes. So in this case, if we took out a loan to cover, typically with a DSCR, well, this is actually going to be not a DSCR loan, but it's going to be a bridge loan,
Hmm.
right? And
Right.
that bridge loan is going to help us to get into the deal. It's going to help
Mhm.
us to purchase the deal.
Purchase the
But
deal,
then on top of it, it's going to help us to rehab the deal. So
cover
that,
the rehab.
yeah, so that bridge loan is going to, typically the ones that we like will cover 90% of the purchase. So we only have to bring 10% to the table plus the cost of the loan.
Hmm.
And then it will cover 100% of the rehab. And so that sounds like a no-brainer, right? So in this case, if the home is 103,000 bucks, we got to bring, let's call it $10,000 to the table plus the cost of the loan. So that's maybe 5,000 bucks. That's $15,000. We got to come to the table. And now we're in the home, we're doing the work, and they're covering the entire rehab. That's insane. That is insane. But that product is out there to help us to get into the deal, get the product, the rehab across the finish line.
Right.
And then after that, we can get a renter in there and we can refinance at the ARV, the after repair value after 3 months.
Right.
That's incredible.
It's a great opportunity, and it's like, why not? Right? Why not take advantage of these products that are out there? But, they're not all built the same, right? A lot of, people can fall into a lot of pitfalls, a lot of mistakes, right? Definitely, just like we talked about vetting your property manager, vetting your agent, you better believe you best vet that lender and
100%.
shop around, because they're not all made equal. So, just
what are some things that you got to think about when you're looking at a loan so that we can understand, like, why is it not equal?
Well, you got to look at the points, right? You got to look at, how much is it cost, right? At the end
what
of the
heck
day,
is a point? I know, like, you're a ref, bro. You're a ref. And so, like,
you got to look at,
how do I get the points?
Right. So basically, look, you just got to look at, how much money is it going to cost you to borrow their money at the end of the day.
Okay, so my question to you is, if I was to take out $100,000 loan, right, and it cost me 1 point, what does that mean?
That means it's going to cost you $1,000, right?
All right. So a point is, go ahead.
Right. It's going to cost you $1,000 for you that you need to pay them to borrow their money at the end of the day, to bring it to the table.
So what does it typically cost? Like, what do you typically see when you're doing a bridge loan like this? How many points?
Typically, 2.5, maybe even more, sometimes they're up there 3.5% or 3.5 points, excuse me. And so, that those are some of the things you have to take into account,
right,
as well as what Drew said with the purchase price, the purchase ratio, 90%. Some bridge loans only cover 85%, and things of that.
So what kind of interest rates can you expect on a bridge loan?
You can expect interest rates probably now, at a minimum of about 11 to 12%. Right, give or take, maybe a little bit more, probably like around 13%.
So here's what's interesting about that. So when I first started investing and I heard 11% loan, I was like, you are.
Oh, by the way, interest only.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. But we're used to thinking about it in a 30-year lifespan. Right. So let's take, for example, let's say we had a 10% loan on $100,000, right? You are trying to get in and out of that property. So we said we want to get in there 3 to 4 months, right?
Right.
And we borrowed $100,000 and it's a 10% loan. If we're out of there in 3 months, that's $3,000.
Yeah.
We paid $3,000 to borrow someone else's money to help us to get a property in our name, right?
Right.
Reap the rewards of rental, right? And now we've got an appreciating asset.
Dude, for how much?
$3,000.
For $3,000?
$3,000, bro.
Dude, that's bananas. That's wild. That's wild.
That's the game. That's the game that we're trying to preach to the people.
Dude, that's crazy.
Right? Now, I mean, there's a lot more to it, right? We already talked about, we talked about the closing costs, we talked about the points, yes.
Of course.
But, I mean, still, okay, but I have to come up with $15,000, right?
Sure.
Go talk to mom, go talk to granny, go talk to your friend, right? Scrape up 2, scrape up 3, scrape up 4, right?
Get a bunch of side hustles like me.
Right. Get a bunch of side hustles.
Yeah, man, there ain't no shame in that, right?
There's no shame.
Yeah.
Get that initial deposit, and now you're in, and you get that thing across the finish line. Now you've got an asset that's producing income for you
Right.
and appreciating, and you force value. So
Right.
again, we're talking about in this house, we're trying to force the value of $220,000 conservatively, right?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's a
great.
beautiful thing.
Dude, this was great, man. So like, look, we touched on so many things. We analyzed the deal, right? This live, we did it.
We did.
It might pencil out. It might work out if we make this offer. It might not. But what are like some kind of final tips, that we want to give people that investors may make maybe some mistakes to kind of
100%.
avoid?
Yeah, man. The first thing is you can't rush analyzing the property.
Right.
You absolutely have to go through anything that you can find and uncover, without
Gotta be patient.
without damaging the integrity of the property. You need to get an inspector in there. You need to make sure that somebody is looking at all the nooks and crannies. You need to get a sewer, especially in Indianapolis, get a sewer scope. You gotta get a sewer
Trust
scope.
us.
Otherwise,
Get
it
a
will
sewer
bite
scope.
you in the butt. Let me tell you.
Scope.
Sewer scope. Yeah, you got to get a sewer scope, man. And then you got to make sure that you're managing your expectations and staying disciplined. You can't let a rehab get the best of you. And what I mean by that is a lot of times when you're in the romance of doing your rehab, you're like, oh, this would look good. I'm gonna get this beautiful fan. I'm gonna get these beautiful fixtures. I'm gonna get the best toilet. What is the reason that you're rehabbing that home for? Are you flipping it or are you renting it? If you're renting it, stick with rental grade. Stick with rental grade.
Right.
You have to be disciplined.
So that goes back to what? Our buy
box.
Right.
Our buy box, for sure.
So those are some of the things and some of the pitfalls, tips, tricks, kind of maneuver, underestimating repairs, like
I think the other thing too, man. Go ahead.
Overpaying, you definitely don't want to overpay. I think that's probably a big thing, right? Anything you see listed on Zillow, right? You saw that it was at 109 and we broke it down, right? We're like, nah, we ain't paying 109 for that.
No,
right?
It's either from 50 to 103
right
at the top, right? But the other thing too is you got to make sure that you have a quality contractor. You have to have a great GC, and
help you in the buy process.
You 100%. You need to make sure that person is licensed and bonded and insured.
Right.
So
100%.
That's huge. Absolutely huge. If that person, you also have to make sure that when you start that rehab, that you put yourself as an additional insured on their insurance. You have to protect yourself, right? The other piece.
Know this from personal experience, and you don't want to go down, that just trust us,
Yes.
Do as we say, not as we do.
Right. 100%. So those are just a couple of things that I would say, off the top of my head, are some final parting words. And we're going to have more in the next episodes. There, we're delving into all of the nooks and crannies that we've gotten caught up in and that we've, experienced, so that you guys can use our experiences as your own.
Yeah. And so, just have a solid buy process, guys, buy box, and that's just gonna, set you up for success. So, the BRRRR starts with the B. It's the buy. You cannot have the BRRRR without the buy. So, it's critical.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely critical.
And then that leads right into the rehab.
The rehab. So, hey, next episode, we'll be breaking down the rehab. So
there we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited that you came with us. Hey, make sure that you like and subscribe to our podcast, to YouTube. You can find us on Instagram.
The Property
Brrrrothas
Brother.
Hey, leave us a comment if you enjoyed the show. Give us some feedback, man. Like we said, we just starting out on this journey. We really trying to take it to the next level. So, guys, we're just so thankful. Drew, always thankful for you, my brother. Love you, man.
Yeah, love you, man.
Dude,
This has been real. This is exciting. Like I said, this is the very first part of the process, and it's exciting to be sharing it with the people, and it's always exciting to be sharing it with you.
Yes, sir. All right. So for Drew, I'm Jordan, and we are the Property
Brothers.
Peace out, baby.
The Property Brrrrothas. The Property